Welcome to 100 Yards Football this evening as we recap the University of Alabama's football season. It was really one of the best that we've seen in college football. The players, the coaches, they ended up number one, and they ended up number one in the college football playoff, and they will be playing the University of Notre Dame. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. And the gentleman has helped me over the past month to break down the University of Alabama football program and make me understand this, that there's, as he always say, there's a standard that they do at the University of Alabama that no one can match. My man, he's the most talented high school football coach here in the state of Georgia. He's no defense like no one else. My man, Mr. Kevin, the Bull Jones. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. So, Mr. Jones, that was a hell of an SEC championship game on Saturday night, 52-46. But when you talk about football play at a really high level offensively, it was very enjoyable. The Florida Gators, first of all, I want to give kudos to them and Dan Mullen. Played a very great football game and had an excellent scheme to play, as we say right now, the best team in the country, the University of Alabama. So take us back on Saturday night. And then after you take us back on Saturday night, you're going to take us forward preparation to play Notre Dame. And then talk about the three players who are probably going to be the three top invitees to the Heisman Trophy presentation in Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, and Najee Harris. So it's your show, my brother. Tell us why Alabama won on last Saturday night.
Well, I tell you what, Vincent, that was by far one of the best football games from a strategic standpoint, ways to find ways to attack somebody's defense, find the matchups that would help alleviate a team program to another level in one of the best games in college football today. I thought that what Dan Mullen did was unbelievable. And, of course, our guest last week, Atlanta Public School Athletic Director Jasper Jewell, mentioned that, he's a Florida Gator fan, and those Gators were not going to lie down for us. And sure enough, he was correct. Jasper, I want to tell you, hats off. You said it. That's exactly what happened. When I tell you they came in with an awesome offensive plan to attack us, it was amazing to watch the matchups. They literally found a way to match us score for score. And they raised their level of play, even on the defensive side. And we were still able to offensively, our offense was still able to amass almost 600 yards in total offense. Okay, but our defense did have their hands full the whole game, and it never stopped. They never got off our necks, and we never got off their necks. Some crucial things that happen anytime when you look at the stats at the end of a game and you see that you've given up 6 touchdowns and over 462 yards in total offense. The first thing you think is you gave up that much from a team. You think that you're going to lose the ball game. But we were able to prevail. Coach Saban did a fabulous job of keeping the team focused on one goal, and that was the pure domination in another way. It wasn't the same way. It was a different kind of Bama team that showed up to take this team out. What really intrigued me about what Coach Dan Mullen did, and did he take some of what Lane Kiffin did against us early in the season? No, Vincent. He did something totally different. He took his 2 star players, the receivers on the outside. And when I say receivers, I'm talking about Pitts, who lines up outside at receiver sometimes, as well as the Tony kid, Kadarius Toney. And he put those kids in the slot to have to face our safeties, because we have a 3 safety defense we use in that star position that Malachi Moore plays for us. And, they victimize us the whole game. And there were times we had great coverage. There were times we didn't have great coverage. But nevertheless, they were able to pick us quite a few times on deep balls, on what I call man beaters, where you have one receiver line up in the slot on the right, and he goes all the way across the field, but he's going upfield to the far pylon, okay, and that far corner route. which is a terrible route to have to defend. More teams are starting to use it in a successful way to beat the man coverage and the zone coverage. See, usually in route running, Vincent, there's a route that you use what we call man beaters, which means teams in man defense. And then there's routes for zone beaters, okay, where if I line up in zone all the time, which I'd never do, but if I line up in zone coverage, you had routes where you had sit routes, where you sit in the zone and wait for the ball to throw to you. Vincent, they did something totally different. They had those man zone beaters that went all the way across the field, and it victimized us a few times. And then they went back to something they did against University of Georgia, those out and up moves. We call them wheel routes with the running back. And then one time, a couple of times, they even put Tony at the running back. And then he ran the same route. And then to move those guys around, it gave us fits. It really did. And it's not about a weakness at this point. It's like an Ali Frazier match. And I want the sports fans, Bama fans, to know we were in an Ali Frazier match. Okay? No, don't say that our defense did a terrible. No, it didn't, because the defense had quite a few sacks in the game. We had 9 sacks, led by Chris Allen and Will. I'm gonna say it right to make sure his parents, Big Will and Mama T Anderson, here down here in Atlanta, Georgia, down here in Stockbridge area. Will Punisher Anderson had 2 sacks. Great game. So and Christian Allen also had 2 sacks. So we had 9 sacks in the game. Okay, so we were able to get to him, but it was an Ali Frazier match. And I'm talking about the third one. I'm not talking about the first 2 Ali Frazier matches, Vincent. I'm talking about the third one where both of them looked like they were on life support. And anybody at any time, the game could have went a different way. One thing that hurt Florida was before halftime, not running that clock out so we didn't get the ball back. That, to me, if there's something that Dan Mullen probably wanted, he's not going to say it in front of the reporters, but when he gets back, he got back yesterday in front of the coaches, and he had to sit and let that one marinate, because as soon as he scored, we turned around and scored again. And then he wants to say, we had our chances here. We had more time, we would have won. Well, here's the reality of it. Had you had more time, we would have put up more points too. So let's keep it real. You never would have stopped this wonderful machine down in Tuscaloosa. I thought it was a great game, and I'll tell you right now, it is the best game that Alabama will play in these next 2 games coming up. One be the semifinal game, and the next one national championship game. This was the best game.
Okay, let's talk about the 3 headline players. Talk about Mac Jones. Coming into the season, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really see him staying as a starter throughout the year. I thought the young man out of California, Bryce Young, would end up being the guy and being on this stage. But I would say this, the young man has played flawless. He's had one of the best seasons that I've seen any quarterback on a college level have. And the thing about it, what amazes me, Kevin, is that his passing, I heard somebody, and I've talked to you about this, somebody a couple of weeks ago called him a game manager. and it took me back to say, this young man, when you look at Mac Jones, he's throwing dimes, 25, 30-yard passes. He's throwing the deep ball as accurate as anybody I've seen come in a long time at that position. I mean, on the money. And when you look at it overall, I think if I had to give the Heisman Trophy, I'd split it between him and Devonta Smith. Quick remarks about Mac Jones in this season this year as the under center for Alabama.
Well, let me say this. It's just not fair to assume that a freshman would come in off the streets down in California and come and lead the number 1 team in the nation, to the point where we're at now with Bama football. There's just no way to put that much pressure on a kid. And any fan that thinks that, fine, that's what they are. They are a wonderful fan. But from a coaching standpoint, you have Mac Jones, who's been in that room with Steve Sarkisian, with Coach Saban. He's been in those rooms with Holman Wiggins, and we're talking in those offensive rooms with Charles Huff. He's been in there and found out the nooks and crannies of what makes the Bama offensive machine go. So to discredit him by calling him a game manager. Let me tell you what he does. He throws a deep ball well, and it started last year. Okay, so he played last year. Okay, he throws the intermediate pass well. Okay, he reads his check down routes pretty well. Okay, he does a great job of throwing the deep outside comeback routes, which every guy that plays collegiate football cannot. Only 55% of those kids can make that throw. I mean, that's when you're on the left hash and you throw a 20-yard, 20 yards down the field to the far right sideline, and you're on the far left hash, and you throw it on a dime. Everybody can't do that. Okay, the special ones are called special when you see them on draft day or when you see them pick up that Heisman Trophy. Okay, and then thirdly, he's durable. He hasn't been hurt. When has he come out of the game for injury? He's durable. He runs when he has to. And the most important thing that I like about him is even when you rattle him on a big hit or he maybe throws an interception and he knew he made the wrong throw, but he threw it anyway, his composure to prepare for the next play is what makes him special.
Let's talk about the young man, the running back that had the best game of any offensive player in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. I give him a nickname after Saturday night. I call him Eric Dickerson with hands, Najee Harris.
Well, he definitely likes for you to know that he can catch the football.
Oh, yes, sir.
And I want to say kudos to Coach Huff, the running back coach. A great person I have a chance to know for a very long time. And, Najee Harris is one of the top running backs in the nation. He has 27 touchdowns. He is a machine. He's like an Energizer Bunny. Once you hit him, he's got this thing like those PlayStation games where you hit the button and he does the spin. He has absorbed being able to be coachable, even though he's athletic, 6'2", 230 pounds. Okay. And, hats off to former Auburn running back and training guru, Brad Lester, for spending time with him. And here's the thing about great players, Vincent, and this what humbles me about this young man. I appreciate him because he's humbled about the work to be successful. He never stops working to be better than what he is. And that's what he took upon himself this past summer working with Brad Lester and even the coaching, and being able to share those carries as well with other 5-star running backs. If you could take Earl Campbell, if you could take, and I'm going to say it right now, Walter Payton, and if you take Eric Dickerson, if you could take those three, and as well as Emmitt Smith, as far as pass catching ability, you take those 4 guys and you put them together, and you have the top running back in the nation, a perennial pick to be a first round, possibly a top 10 draft pick in the draft.
And who I think should win the Heisman Trophy. The young man is just, when I look at him, I call him the Jerry Rice of college football. I haven't seen a receiver put up the numbers in a situation where Alabama, and this is where you tell me it's a standard. Now I understand what you're talking about. A standard is making adjustments and putting your best players in the position. What Alabama's done when the young man, Mr. Waddle, got hurt, and the ability for them, how they get him the football, jet sweeps, line them in the slot, line them on the outside, line them up against the other team's best corner. Man, I haven't seen a football player at that position play at that level in a long time. And I can go back when Randy Moss was at Marshall. Tim Brown was at Notre Dame. Of course, Jerry Rice in Mississippi Valley. I'm putting Devonta Smith on a college level in that category. And another great thing about the young man, the hands. He doesn't drop anything. And the humbleness and the character of him, he doesn't do a lot of talking. He produces on the field. And when you look at that story program at Alabama and you take a look at it, I see why you get excited and you got on your head this evening. But just think about this, Kevin. The great players that played at that school in their years of existence, going all the way back to Don Hudson, Bear Bryant, Pat Trimble, Joe Namath, Richard Todd. We're talking about some players, John Hanna, Julio Jones, Cornelius Bennett, Derek Thompson. We're talking about some players that have some serious pedigree when it comes to the history of this game. I'm putting Devonta Smith in that category. And then when you look at it, look at the receivers that went in the first round for Alabama last year, and Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy. In my mind, I'm saying, hey, it's no question they were the best receivers on the team. But this young man decided to come back for his senior year. Hands down, when you look at Alabama and you're looking from production, you're looking for the impact he's made on this team, I would put him up there in what I've seen with the Alabama program from the receiver position. There's only two other players, Julio Jones and Amari Cooper. Devonta Smith might be the best that's ever played at that school at their position. I know I'm saying a lot of stuff, but hey, that's how I feel this evening. But not only that, I'm looking, he might be the best receiver that's ever played in the SEC. Your comments on the young man, Devonta Smith.
Listen, pound for pound, and I mean it, because he's not 6'2", and he's not 190 pounds. I get a chance to be on that campus and go down for the coaching clinics, and I see those players, and you take a look at him, and he'll walk right by you. And if you don't know who he is, then you wouldn't know who he is, because he doesn't pass the eye test as far as the 6'3", 6'4" receiver, 215 pounds, even 100. Let's give him 185 pounds. Okay, he's none of that. Okay, he's soaking wet. 6'1" on a great day with cleats on, and he's 175 pounds, soaking wet of nothing but power. Okay, power and determination. He is the alpha male on that team. Don't get it twisted. He's all that in a bag of chips. And his character he exudes makes him bigger than life. Come on. He's a receiver in NCAA, in NCAA football, and he plays an SEC conference for the number one team in the nation. And he has 1,500 yards in receptions. He has 19 touchdowns. Fans, do y'all realize he's 489 yards away from 2,000 yards in receptions in this year, and he was not even the number one receiver. The number one receiver was Jalen Waddle, who's still on the sidelines, and he might be back for the championship game, might I add. He was always the one that everybody was talking about, but there was a light about this young man that illuminated the whole room. I mean, when he walks into the indoor facility, I mean, he doesn't make a lot of noise, but most of those kids don't. It's their character. Vincent, their character is unbelievable. Many have gone there. Some have not been able to stay there because they could not be one of the many great players in the room. Alvin Kamara or Kamara, whichever way people want to go with it. I'll say Kamara because that's the one that say it on television when he play on Sundays. But he could not handle the being the number 5 running back when he got the 5th string running back when he came to Alabama. He ended up transferring, having to go to Hutchinson Junior College in Kansas. He was there. He played in 8 games, rushed for over 2,000 yards. Then he went on to Tennessee. None of these receivers that were in this room for these past 3 years, being that great offensive room, you've never heard anything about jealousy. They've been to share their responsibility. And yes, as a high school coach here in Atlanta, I respect what Coach Saban delivers to those kids about being unselfish, being totally about the standard of Bama football. Do the best to put your teammates and yourself in a situation to be as successful as possible and give yourself much more. You take your quality and how much your value of your play, how much you can make that bigger so that you can help the team be successful. That's what Coach Saban is all about.
Okay. You got a week off. Then it starts for real on January the 1st. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You play them in New Orleans, I believe, in the Sugar Bowl. What is the progression and what does the University of Alabama football program, what are they going to do in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think that game has been moved to Texas.
No, I
Vincent.
think it's Clemson and Ohio State, I think.
Yeah, they moved it, but let's talk about the game. Okay, one major concern I have, but it's only a concern because it's part of the consistency of what you see with that massive offensive line with Landon Dickerson out. And I was praying until I got the news today, like everybody else. I was just praying that he was just it was a sprain, a slight sprain, and he get a couple of days to get it doctored up and get some rehab on it and some therapy and get ready for playing possibly a national championship game. That's not what happened. Okay, so you got Chris Owens who's going to take over, and once again he comes in to you have Brown and Ikior, and you have Leatherwood. You have these guys, these massive players that have done a sensational job, and even Dan Mullen mentioned in his press conference after the game. He said their offensive line is so physical. I want our team to get to that point on both sides of the ball eventually. Okay, so there's a standard there. That long word I keep itching at. Now let's get back to Notre Dame. It's a wonderful matchup, but here's the thing that Notre Dame has a problem with. Notre Dame still has problems with 2 and 3-headed monster teams offensive. Okay, they have a problem with that. Okay, trying to stop Trevor Lawrence. He had over 400. He had 322 yards passing, 90 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. You got Travis Etienne who broke off a couple of long runs. Amari Rogers, EJ Williams. Those teams with speed and space. Notre Dame has a problem with that. Okay, so when we're going to face them and on January the 1st, our threat is we do have a 3-headed monster on offense, and they are very good, and they will score at any point in time. And actually, Mac Jones doesn't have to run. He gonna check it down to that beast, number 22, and let him go make something happen. But here's the caveat to everything. Notre Dame has an offense that is a ball control run type first, 3 tight end. We call it 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends, 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, okay, and receiver. And they truly do like to play at ground and pound, run in between the tackles, and then they like to do that play action with those tight ends. Well, guess what? Those tight ends are not going, they're not going to outrun us. Okay. So you're really playing into our strength because we are tough up front. And now, if you could come out and throw the ball 50 times on us, such as the teams that we've been playing that had some success in the air against us, then you got a chance to play with us. But I'm not trying to take anything away from the job that's been done at Notre Dame, but when it comes to matchups, I feel like we dominate both sides of the ball now. And I was not saying that last week because I knew we had problem to deal with in Dan Mullen and his ability to attack the matchup. And that's what he did to us. Now, in the series, Notre Dame leads us 5 wins to 2. Last time we beat Notre Dame was in the BCS National Championship game. And we were up 35-0 before they scored a point. The game was never close. Okay. Now, sports fans, I'm going to tell you this right now, and you're hearing this from me. The best game that we have played or we're going to play in to get to the national championship and win it, tell y'all right now, the best competition we face, we've already faced it. And you heard it right here. We faced the Florida Gators, and they gave us a run for our money, and we persevered. The score won't be the same on January the 1st. And I'll say that right now in front of everybody. Notre Dame is a good team, coached by a very good coach, but they run right into our strengths, and our strengths are for real. That's why we have 28 SEC titles and 18 and 17 national championships.
Oh, Lord. Well,
I had to say it, B.
Hey, I can't go against that. Alabama right now is the program in a very tough season and playing a conference schedule. It's been very impressive. I'm going to here to say.
Well, here's the thing, Vincent. that I want everybody when they watch this game and you talk about keys to the game to be able to be successful and win. Here it is. Our strengths offensively, as we do have a three-headed monster, we can go ground and pound, we can spread it out and throw it around, and then we can play the intermediate game as well. We can do all of those and check all the boxes with whoever we put out there, whether it's Mechie, Billingsley, whoever, Forrester, whoever the case may be, Bolden. We can do all of that. Okay, defensively, now we've revved up. Remember, sports fans, if you all been following us all season, we had 4 or 5 games we didn't have a sack. Now we had 9 in a game. Okay, now the team and the problems, our Achilles heel has been our young guys, and that's just what they are. Yeah, I saw Coach Saban ripping Pete Golden during the game. But hey, that's what, as a head coach, that's our way of just kind of getting it out, that something need to get fixed. So let's make the adjustment. So when it's all said and done, we made the adjustment. And even then, when we made the adjustment, they still continued to score. We had to dial up more sacks. Against Notre Dame, won't be any empty sets. It won't be quarterback Ian Brook by himself. He's going to have 3 tight ends, and he's going to have a running back. And guess what, Vincent? That equals a win for us. Roll Tide roll.
Before we end the video this evening, and first and foremost, I want to say thank you for your great analysis of the University of Alabama over the course of the last 4 weeks. What thing will you take away from this season that you've been most proud of this football team?
I'm really proud at how the coaches, Coach Saban and his staff, have been able to keep that team together amidst everything going on around them, with everybody on the face of the earth right now. There's so many stories of people having tough situations go on. Have we heard about players dying during the season? No, we haven't heard about that. But, there's some coaches, and I won't name them publicly right now, but there's some coaches right now in the SEC that are battling COVID, and it's just tough. And they have families. When it's all said and done and we take the football and we put it up, it's grown men trying to coach these young adults to be the best players they can be. And we have an invisible ghost that's attacking us right now. So hats off to those guys that have made it through an amazing season. Coach Saban has been hit by COVID, and the coaches on staff, kudos to them, blessings to them and their families for persevering, because it has been a hard season.
Okay, final words of our video this evening, bro, my brother.
Well, listen, I want to say a special congratulations to all those coaches here in Georgia and coaches across America that, like I said, persevered through all of this going on with the COVID. If you watch this show and you are a high school coach, and you're a college coach, or you're even if NFL coaches, we have gone out into the jungle to still do what we love, this game called football. And right, wrong, or indifferent, we face criticism, we face applause, and then when it's all said and done, we come home and we pray that we didn't bring anything home to our family. And that's just amazing. I have grown children, and I pray for them every time they go out the house as well. So I can imagine how moms and dads feel about their sons playing football. So many prayers and thank yous to all that have made it through a season. And for Alabama and those coaches, kudos to everything you've done. It's more than just about football. And I had to say that to a dear friend of mine who I called to check on him, to see if he was okay. And I know he wanted to play rough and tough and everything's fine. But listen, at the end of the day, it's bigger than football. How you doing? So I encourage everybody to check on your family members and friends. And sometimes just drop them a text. Call them. If they don't pick up, text them. And if they don't answer the text, hit them with a couple of question marks in the text, because that means I'm checking to make sure you're okay. So with that being said, hats off to those coaches at Bama. Hats off to all the coaches across America. I'm ready to go see these last 2 games played and roll tide roll. I hope it's a great festive event, January 1st.
That being said, as Coach Jones left you with his final words, roll tide. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. Thank you to Mr. Kevin the Bull Jones joining me this evening, the greatest coach in the state of Atlanta. And across the state of Georgia when it comes to high school football. I'm Vincent Turner, a.k.a. the baby boy and the only son of Chester and Inez Turner from the 901. Y'all have a wonderful holidays. As Coach Jones said, please be safe.
Yeah.
Very powerful words from him this evening. And thank you. And kudos to Roll Tide. Y'all have a wonderful evening.